Welcome back now on tonight's Patriot Report. He's an actor who began his career in television back in the 80s, then jumped to the big screen. You probably know him as Hercules, but over the past decade or so, Kevin Sorbo's films have taken a much different tone than the Hollywood norm, spreading a message of hope, unity, and yes, faith in God, which is a very rare thing these days in Hollywood. Welcome to the show, my buddy, Kevin Sorbo. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Good, I do, but you made me 10 years older than I really am. I didn't start, Hercules was all through the 90s.
Yeah, but I looked you up. You were on one of your first shows, you did an episode of Santa Barbara in like 85 or 86, right?
I did a soap opera, Santa Barbara. I was also one of the original, it was the first one-hour original program at HBO called First and 10. I played a wide receiver.
See, and I did my research. You started in the 80s. Yeah, okay. I didn't make you older.
That's 35 years in the business. Yes, I do go back that far.
And you survived through Hollywood, even being someone with conservative values, which in this day and age in Tinseltown, you don't get much play anymore if you talk about just good old wholesome American values and believing in God. And I applaud you so much. That's why I called you and said, be our patriot tonight in our Patriot Report, because the family and I have watched a lot of your movies that have come out over the last 5 to 10 years. And man, what a powerful message you are sending in your films. Any of the ones that really stand out to you, that really struck you, some characters or stuff, and some of those ones that you've played about believing in God and people's faith and losing and regaining faith? Because that's a message in a whole lot of your movies.
Yeah, it started about 10 years ago. I did a movie called What If, which was the same writers that I did a movie with a couple years later called God's Not Dead, which just was like an unbelievable, blockbuster. I think What If's even better, and PureFlix doesn't get mad at me for that because it's the same writers and the same company. But that really opened the door for me wanting to do more movies like that. So last one, the theaters here a couple years ago that I directed called Let There Be Light did very well in theaters. Sean Hannity funded that one. I've got 3 new movies done in the can. One I directed called Miracle in East Texas. That was supposed to be out this summer, but of course COVID has cut all the theaters down. So we're holding off everything until next year. But I do have a couple wonderful things out right now. And one comes out tonight, starts at 8 o'clock. And no matter what time zone you're in, it's going to be 8 o'clock p.m. hustle2.com. It's a wonderful documentary showing the other side of the issue of the climate change, which is always such a hot topic. It's right up there with the abortion issue. And really, it shows a wonderful, educated point of view from the other side.
Kevin, there was a small breakup in your Skype connection. I want you to say that documentary title one more time so folks can hear it and they can watch it tonight.
Sure, it's climatehustle2.com. It's the number 2, not the word. climatehustle2.com. 8 o'clock tonight, no matter where you are, you can stream it. It's going to be fantastic. You'll love it.
Okay, I wanted to get that out there for you. We had one of your buddies on yesterday and a new friend of mine, Antonio Sabato Jr. Sure. And you and I just know so many different folks that are on board with this new studio that you're all forming to make films that you want to make and that maybe sometimes Hollywood wouldn't want to make, and that maybe have this nice, positive, faith-based message. And you've got one coming out that I'm trying to figure out what it's about. Is Trailblazers a Western, or what is Trailblazers about?
It's a Western, but Antonio's behind this whole thing. Here's the interesting thing. I have my own film studio called Sorbo Family Film Studio, so I'm kicking off my own studio. He's doing his. I say the more the better. We have to compete and go up against these $300 million blockbusters Hollywood puts out. And, we're trying to put out movies that are like $3-4 million, which is catering budget on a Pirates of the Caribbean. But we got to fight against those movies. So, we got to fight for space in theaters. We got to fight for an audience. So we need people's support. Look, people used to stop me all the time because of Hercules or Andromeda. I got stopped all the time from one of the movies we just mentioned. What If, God's Not Dead, Soul Surfer, Let There Be Light. And they say, please make more movies like that. Well, I'll tell you what, it's hard enough to raise money that way, and we're doing the best we can. We're reaching out everywhere we can go. But if people want to fight the culture war, we got to fight it, one person at a time. We need people to get out there and scream from the top of the mountains to make sure that this gets heard. Yeah,
it takes money. You can't make a film for free. And I salute you so much, man, for sticking with it and pushing that positive message, because there are families in America that want those types of wholesome films that send that type of message. You mentioned Soul Surfer. That's one of my daughter's favorite films. And the last that you've done over the last 10 years, you mentioned a bunch of them. You had me at tears, brother. You had me at some serious tears, and it takes a little bit to get me there. So the acting is top notch, but the messaging to me is top notch. You have some other ones coming out. I read on IMDb, I think, next year that you're working on. What's some of the new film projects that we'll see?
I got one right now. It's out that actually it opened as the #1 documentary in the country when it came out. Now it's the #1 Christian movie in the country overall. It's a documentary called Before the Wrath. Brent Miller and his team put this together. It's awesome. It's out right now. It's streaming on Amazon. BeforeTheWrath.com. Please go check it out. I narrate it. It's on the Book of Revelation. It's fantastic. It's very interesting. I've got another one. The Miracle in East Texas is a movie that's near and dear to my heart. I just directed it. We have Lou Gossett Jr. in it. We got John Ratzenberger in it. Tyler Maine's in it. People know Tyler Maine as Sabretooth in all the X-Men movies. There's a 6'9" guy who's an ex-wrestler. Great guy. But I also have bleedingbluemovie.com. Please check out bleedingbluemovie.com. That's available now as well. All this defund the police stuff that's going on right now. This is a movie that's not praising the police. It just shows what they have to go through. It's through their eyes, what they have to go through day in and day out as they protect each one of our communities. And so for the attacks that are going on the police, people need to look at this. Are they perfect? No, but no business is perfect. But the majority of police are good guys, just like the majority of people in any business are good people. So I hope people check out bleedingbluemovie.com. And then I've got Against the Tide coming out later, but you and I can talk about that later. It's coming down the road a couple months from now.
I'll have you back on there wrapping me up. Kevin Sorbo, our Patriot tonight in the Patriot Report. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Thanks for spreading that message. And I'm really glad you got that plug in for Bleeding Blue, because I almost forgot to mention that. And of course, with all the defund police, they need our support too. Kevin Sorbo, thank you so much for joining Real America. We will talk again soon, sir.
Thank you so much. And go to kevinsorbo.net. All kinds of information there. Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, don't go away. We'll be right back. Time for me to get real with all these protesters.